This movie came out in 2009, and I actually have never seen this movie, not once, until this year, 2021. I never avoided it, I just never came across it, and I finally decided to say, you know what? I'm going to watch the full trilogy here, the trilogy of Star Trek. Let's go ahead and do it. The newer version, 2009, the Christopher Pine version, or Chris Pine. And when I watched this movie, now let me let you guys know, I'm not a Star Trek fan whatsoever. I know characters, I know who Picard is, I know who Captain Kirk is, I know who Spock is, I know what this means, but like, as far as like lore and story, I can't answer it. I can't. I'm not a Star Trek guy. Could never get into it. So I'm like, let's go ahead and jump into this movie. And this movie that came out in 2009, when I watched it, it was fine. It was okay. It was a solid movie that, it was okay. And now this episode of Movie Breakdowns, I'm going to review Star Trek 2009. What's up, world? Welcome to another episode of Movie Breakdowns. I'm your host, Ali Zakka. What's up, world? Welcome to another episode of Movie Breakdowns. I'm your host, Ali Zakka. What's Movie Breakdowns? Movie review series looking new and old movies. Give them a grade 8 through up. Plus and minus do count. And this review you want me to do, let me know. Please put in the comment section below. Now I get to it as best I can. I also have a Patreon/Ali Zakka, where it's only for $2 a month. You can jump in front of everybody, whatever request you have, I get to it immediately because you're paying for my services. So like, it's a movie that I haven't got to that you asked me to review, and the reason I can't get to it because I can't find it or I don't want to pay for it. The $2 a month goes towards that. I'll pay for that movie because you're paying for me to buy it and do the review and do it immediately because you're paying for my services, and it'll be on Patreon for you right before it comes out on YouTube and Facebook. But that's enough of that. Thank you guys. Also, if you like this series, please like, subscribe. It's like episode 250 something. So I appreciate you guys. Now let's go ahead and get into today's review of Star Trek 2009. And what is this movie about? By the way, this does have spoilers in it because the movie came out in 2009. If you haven't seen Star Trek, the newer version, go watch it. It's on Netflix right now. And let's go ahead and get into it. So this movie is about the origin of the Star Trek, the origin of the Enterprise, the group that you know, the famous group I should say, from the Star Trek came out in the 70s, 80s. Sorry if I'm wrong on that, but the original group, the William Shatner group, is that origins group on the big screen. So you get Captain Kirk, you get Spock, you get Scotty, you get a few other characters that, you know, wasn't around or wasn't teammates beforehand until now, and it's when the story of how they became pretty much how Captain James Kirk became the captain of the USS Enterprise. I believe I had that right. And yeah, that's what the story's about. Also, the main part of it is, like, the main plot is that you have this alien that came from a time loop from his, or I guess a time warp from his timeline to the present day, trying to stop the events of his homeworld getting destroyed in the future by going after Spock. And also because he lost his homeworld in his future, he is going to make Spock and Earth suffer for his loss, even though he's 25 years in the past. And the team has to stop him. Pretty much. That's the main plot of this movie. And the origin story. Yep. IMDb at, check it, you know. Anyway, so my first thoughts on this movie. It's a fine movie. It's solid. I enjoyed it. There's parts of the movie where I think there have been jokes. I never thought Star Trek was actually like super goofy. I knew like there's, you know, it's a 70s, 80s TV show, so some of the action is going to be a little over the top. I get that. Colors and everything, I get that. I'm a Power Rangers fan. I completely understand. However, the movie, like, there's a scene where James Kirk gets inflatable hands because he's allergic, had a allergic reaction to a medicine, and then he gets numb tongue. And I guess it's putting up for laughter, but there's parts of the movie where, like, the comedy didn't hit for me. So I'm just like, cool, I get why, you know, gets a little more entertainment out of it, because if he just woke up and walked straight into the captain's quarters and said, hey, this event that's about to happen here happened 25 years ago when I was born, this is a trap. If he just went and did that, there'd be no tension. But because he had this allergic reaction, thanks to Dr. Bones, he had to go through this and then finally go and, you know, tell exactly what's going on. It's fine. I enjoyed the movie. To me, it was not anything like to write home about, but also not anything to like, oh, this wasn't that good. No, like, if somebody told you this movie was a bad movie, they need to walk out the door, because it's not a bad movie. But then if somebody told me like this was the greatest movie ever, I'd be like, Star Wars Episode 7? No, but sorry, I want to start that debate, Star Wars and Star Trek. Don't want to do that. But like, maybe because in 2000, the movie came out in 2009. I don't know. Like, I need to look at what the movies came out in 2009. Okay, so in 2009, we got Dragon Ball Evolution, which garbage. We got Avatar, Harry Potter 6, Half-Blood Prince. We have this. I'm looking into like fantasy action movies. Wolverine's or X-Men Origins Wolverine, Transformers Revenge of the Fallen, G.I. Joe Rise of Cobra, Terminator Salvation. I guess at that time, this movie actually would have been one of the best movies to come out that year. Avatar is like out of the park. Night in the Museum 2, Battle of the Smithsonian, Caroline. Yeah, so I can see why this movie, because right now this movie is ranked on IMDb, is ranked 7.9, and on Rotten Tomatoes it has a 92%, I believe, if not 94% on Rotten Tomatoes. So this movie is definitely it definitely has a high rating, and to me, this movie is simply a solid movie that, like, as far as like an origin tale, hero movie, fantasy movie, sci-fi movie, it's very average to me. It's not a bad movie, but it's not like a super great movie, and that's just my thoughts on it. So, but at that time though, if those movies were the movie that came out, Avatar, the James Cameron Avatar would knock this movie out the park, but everything else in the movie was right there with it. So I can see why people would think that like this movie is a phenomenal, A+ movie, and to me it's not an A+ movie. But also, it is 2021, and we have seen so much great sci-fi, you can throw Marvel in there, superheroes, but sci-fi, action films, CGI is out the park. The lens flares in this movie, as far as like directing and like lighting and CGI and camera work and like special effects, the lens flare in this movie it stood out so much to me. And there are certain scenes where I'm just like, I don't need lens flares for this scene. I don't need lens flare for that scene. I get it. It is, a space movie. Transformers has lens flare in it, but I don't ever realize. I think it was overdone in this movie per se. And as far as some things that like I liked in this movie, I like the tension between Spock and Kirk. I do like that, how one don't trust the other and they have to learn how to trust each other in this movie. I do like how like everybody kind of got into a role thanks to like a time of crisis, so everybody had to step up and take over. But also there's certain parts of the movie where it's just like things happen because we need the movie to keep going. We need Spock to get so irked at Kirk that he throws him on a frozen planet where Kirk bumps into future Spock. And future Spock's the one to be like, yo, this what happened. I came, a few seconds later, but they've been here for 25 years and they just decided not to try to save their home planet. They're just like, you know what, we'll just destroy your planet so you know what pain feels like. First, it's like, so we know what's going to happen 25 years, from now, or I'm not even sure what time was it, because Spock is old, so what, 50 years plus? I don't know. I'm not sure how old a Vulcan can live, but if the bad guys, if they would have decided like work with everybody and say, all right, so we know what happened and we know that Spock was too late to save our planet. We know how to fix the issue. How about we just go do this? Like the villain's issue, I guess that's my problem. The villain's mentality in this movie was kind of like pointless. If the villain would just been like, yeah, no, we can just revive our planet back, and then I guess they go back to their timeline where it would create a butterfly effect, so therefore their planet would be alive, or would it do like a whole variant timeline, so like he can't go live on his planet again, but maybe he could start a new planet, and then like because there are two Spocks in this movie, so I mean there'd be two bad guys in this movie, which the bad guy named is Nero, so it'd be two Neros. So if the two Neros could just fight to the death and the last man standing gets that'd be horrible, but like, or can the other Nero live out his life with the current Nero? Because Nero is alive in this part of this movie, like he's not dead. Or maybe, could they know how their future, well no, the past has been affected by the future because the future came back to disrupt the past because Spock lost his family, but it means his planet's still going to get destroyed anyway, the villain's issue in this movie is kind of like, if they just would have thought it's almost been avoidable, but okay, they're rolling with it. So the villain's upset that his planet and his timeline gets destroyed, so he want to come back and destroy, Spock's timeline, so he knows pain. Spock's planet, so he knows pain. And that right there was like, okay, well, sure, I get it. Like, you have the right to be upset, but also you can prevent this now. But you're not taking the steps to prevent it. You're going to have to revenge vengeance, which is not going to get you anywhere. But things happen in this movie to just kind of move plot along, like just regular protagonist, plot armor, and yeah, that's why. It's very average to me. Like, it's an average storyline. I'm not upset at this movie. It's just like when you start thinking about it, you're just like, well, okay, sure, we're rolling with it, but okay. Anything else I want to talk about before I get into characters and budget? Nah, I think that's it. I do enjoy this movie. Like, it was fine to me. I got through it. I wasn't over the top. Like, if I got done with it, I wasn't like super enthusiastic, but I am going to watch the second movie because I want to watch the whole trilogy to see how this movie, how the series like plays out and what the storyline is like, and if they all roll together. But if they don't, I'm fine with that. Alright, let's look at the box office here. So the budget of this movie was $150 million, and they grossed worldwide $385 million plus, so they did a good job on that. This movie is 2 hours and 7 minutes long. It doesn't feel like that, so that's good for that. Like, you could watch this movie and not feel like you're sitting here for 2 hours. I didn't really check my watch to see like where we at. I was actually immersed into this movie. This movie is directed by J.J. Abrams, and I thought the set pieces of the movie, I thought everything as far as the movie looked, besides the lens flares, was fine. Like, the lens flares just over too much, but other than that, I feel like everything else seemed like a world out of space, and I can completely believe that this is actually existing. The other part of it was, like, one part of the movie was in Iowa, and like there's this giant bar in Iowa where, like, all these people were hanging out at this giant bar, which I guess because it's like a military base, not that far from the bar. It's a military town, but like you don't see anything else. You don't see it at a gas station or anything like that. It was just this one spot where like it's surrounded by a bunch of fields and farmland, and it's just like this hopping bar that seemed like it would be in a smack in the middle of the city. But that's just, once again, my nitpick. Alright, cast. Hope I don't mess anybody up here, but Chris Pine as Captain Kirk, I thought he did a good job. I thought Chris Pine was, solid. Zachary Quinto, who plays Spock, I thought he did fine too. I enjoyed their characters. Simon Pegg as Scotty. Simon Pegg is in here for a moment, but when he comes in, his character wasn't over the top. You have Bruce Greenwood, who plays Pike, Commander Pike or Captain Pike. I thought he did good. Carl Urban, who plays Bones, thought he did great. Zoe Saldana, who plays Ura, think I got her name right? Thought she did good too. John Cho, who plays Sulu, great. And then Anton Yelchin, who played Chekhov. Also thought he did good too. I didn't mind the cast. I thought it was solid. And then when I went back and looked at the original cast, I thought like the newer cast kind of mimicked them pretty well. So solid on that. And then we have Eric Bana, who plays Nero. And there's certain parts of this movie where, I'm about to say series, of this movie where I did not recognize which one was actual Nero. The villain looked like all the other characters who were similar to him. They're an alien race. Like, I don't know, to me, they all had tattoo markings on them, but like there's a part where I thought it was Nero picking up Captain Kirk and saying like, your race is so weak after hearing all these stories about you, and it wasn't. It was somebody else who looked similar to Nero, and I kind of wish they would like, define their clothes a little bit more. They're like, oh, what's his name has a bigger, color vest on or a color suit on it, like they show he's the captain of the ship versus just a regular dude who's like, yo, so you're this guy? Like, I did not realize, I couldn't recognize which alien was the right alien. And I was just like, okay, that's not good, but, and so that's not Nero. Who's the guy who just fell off? And who's Nero's one getting blown up? Okay, sure. That's one of the things I didn't recognize who was like the main villain. When he talked, you knew who Nero was, but when it was like, if Nero was in the same room and he walked away and it's another guy pick up somebody, could it cut? Because there's a lot of cut takes in this movie too, with certain action scenes, shaky cam, which also kind of bothered me at certain points. But when they cut from different scenes like that, and Nero's the one, not Nero, but the other guy who I guess probably the problem was they didn't ever show who's the other people in Nero's ship. It was just like random people. So therefore, you don't know who is this bad guy talking to Captain Kirk. You think it's Nero, but in reality it's just another bad guy who apparently knows of Kirk's, accomplishments in the future. But this movie's okay. Like, with me saying that, I'm pretty much just saying like, the writing for Nero could be a little bit stronger. Like his problem and his reason for what he's doing made sense. But then when it comes to like certain scenes, like in the movie where you think it's Nero fighting Kirk, but it's not Nero. Nero's actually commanding the ship, talking about blow the other ship up, or commence with the mission kind of thing, and you're just like, well, that's not Nero, and that's Nero. Then who was that fighting Kirk? When Nero did fight Kirk at first, I watched this movie 100%. I didn't fall asleep or anything, so I don't know what I missed there. Any other thoughts? I think the design was cool. The CGI holds up, but some of the storyline beats does seem like it just happened for happenstance. Like, this person was sick, so this person took over. This person got killed, so this person jumped in. This person just happened to be on the same planet that our protagonist falls into. Like, things just happen because of plot and need to happen. But as far as like directing, I thought it was fine. I thought the cast was told how to act certain ways. And I feel like the acting of the cast, they went full 100% in it. Nobody I could question like, yeah, they're not giving 110%. I felt like this whole cast was good for them. As far as some of the special effects and everything, and like shaking cam, and for the action scenes, I think it was done a little too much. I think you didn't need to have like a cut for every punch that was thrown, you know, cutscene. They could at least slow some of that back to have it make more effect, I would say. When you cut, like, Captain Kirk throws a punch and you cut to the next person who's getting, like, from the backside and him falling over when Captain Kirk punches this way, and then somebody else jumps in, you cut to the person jumping over him, they cut to Captain Kirk's face, they cut back to the guy landing on Captain Kirk, then Captain Kirk flips him over. Like, it's hard to follow what's going on in some of the action scenes, so that's one of my nitpicks in this movie. Is it a Friday night movie? Yeah, it's a Friday night movie. I've completely forgot about the music in the movie. The movie score is fine. Not a score that I'm going to listen to, but I'm pretty sure other people will like find the movie score of this movie solid. And grade time. I'm going to grade Star Trek from 2009 a solid C. This movie gets a C for me. It's very, like a very average protagonist sci-fi movie that you're going to watch. You're going to have some parts you're going to enjoy, and some parts that make you think like, wait a minute, what? But I don't think you'll walk away like super upset. Like, this is like, if somebody's like, how do you create a standard origin tale movie? I'm going to say, go look at Star Trek and you're going to find how to do an origin tale movie. Even the whole plot where Spock and Captain Kirk gets into it to show that Spock is mentally unstable to be, or he's emotionally compromised to run the ship as the captain, and then Captain Kirk, who is the first officer, immediately gets promoted to captain, which nobody suspects a thing of that. I'll be looking at Captain Kirk like, what was your end game here? What was your plan to do this? Like, nobody suspected Captain Kirk of foul play there. Like, maybe Scotty should have been the one who got involved with Spock, but Scotty couldn't do it because Scotty doesn't know Spock, so it made sense why Captain Kirk had to do it. But at the same time, like, certain things like that where writing and the pacing of the movie seem to be a little bit off because you need the movie to keep going. 2 hours and 7 minutes I think is perfect, but because you need the movie to keep going, the story to keep going, you had to have certain stuff happen like that to keep it rolling, and you can't really question much. But as far as, like, you know, besides the lens flares, the lens flares will get annoying, but besides that, I think everything else is like, it's very, you know, serviceable movie. You're going to watch this movie and be okay with it, and you're going to be like, okay, I had fun, I'm not upset. Alright, good. So this is a C movie, an average movie. There's nothing wrong with that. It's not a bad grade. Like, C is, when I say something's a C in my series, it means it's average. It means it's solid, it's serviceable, it's a good movie. You know, it's not the best of all time, but it'll never be the worst. It'll never touch the worst of all time. Like, it is just in the middle. You know, if it's out of, you know, this is 75% out of 100%. This is, you know, 7 out of 10 movie. If I'm gonna do 10 rating, 7 out of 10, solid. Like, solid. That's it. If you guys seen Star Trek, what did you think? Please put in the comment section below. I have a feeling this grading might get some heat because a lot of people do love this movie. You know, IMDb gave it a 7.9, but I feel like a lot of people probably give it a B or A. So, but my grade is a C. If you guys seen it, what did you think? Please put in the comment section below. Other than that, see you guys in the next episode of Movie Breakdowns, and keep being awesome. Thank you so much for making it to the end of this video. I really appreciate that. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. If there's a review you want me to watch or do, let me know. Please put it in the comment section below this video. Also, you want to watch the last episode of Movie Breakdowns, it's right there. Just gotta click on it and you'll be able to watch it. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. Love y'all, and keep being awesome.